Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a time trial race, so a little bit different than usual. It's a Kingwood time trial. I entered in a Eddy or non-time trial bike category. I was on my LA Sprint, which is a relatively aero bike, but it's aluminum, so it's pretty heavy compared to some other bikes out there. Before we start, excuse my voice, I'm a little under the weather. I might have a sore throat, so hopefully that goes away because I am racing this weekend. So fingers crossed for me. But anyway, yes, so it's a time trial. I did this race last year as well. Um, it's a pretty flat 10 mile time trial on this like highway shoulder, and the wind, conditions were pretty perfect. It's flat time trial, as I said. The condition, it was, no wind, pretty hot. Some people were saying there was a headwind today, but I mean, I didn't feel anything. But if it was, that's great. So last year I did this as well. Pretty same, actually, exactly the same conditions. You can see the video on my channel. Average time, I believe my time last year, I have to double check, it was 21:40. My average speed last year was 27.1 miles an hour, and my average power last year was about 390 watts. Today, my average watts were 395, so really close to last year. My speed, however, was 28.5 miles an hour, and my total time or time at the end was 21.03, so about 40 seconds faster if my time was 21:40 last year, which I think it was. If not, it was still faster than last year. So how did I get there though? How did I get faster with almost pretty much the same power? Well, position, really, really important. Last year when I did this time trial, it was my first time ever trying out the aero position on my road bike, kind of like, kind of in imaginary time trial bars, or draped over the bars, however you want to call it. And I only managed about 7 minutes at my FTP. And for reference, my FTP is about 400 watts. I think 406 last time I tested, but I just run it up at 400, so round number. It's easy to scale. But anyway, so I averaged about 7 minutes last year in this position. Then I had to go back to hoods and drops, and that really hurt my average and overall speed. Spoiler alert for this video is you will see my hands all the way through. So that means I stayed in a position pretty much the whole race, the whole way through, which really helped my speed, and just overall aero or CDA was better than last year. And how did I get there? Well, I did a lot of this in practice actually. So a lot of my easy rides, I tend to now stay in this position to kind of practice this, because it really takes time for your body to adjust to producing power in this position. I think my best ever 20 minutes at like a normal position is about 425, but currently, like, even though I can produce pretty high power in this position, it is almost impossible for me to actually like try and PR my power, like try and beat my normal power in this position. And I think the main reason for that is because when you're sprinting, you're pretty much swaying your bike, you're pulling and pushing on a bar. Well, when you're doing that at a threshold effort, you're still kind of doing that when you're holding your drops, but to a much lesser extent. When you're pushing down on your pedal, you're kind of pulling on your bar and creating this counter force, which is basically using your whole body to generate power. But when you're in this position, however, you can't really do that. Like, I can't really sway my bike, especially because I'm trying to be as narrow as possible. I can't really sway my bike and like create any counter force. So I'm isolating a lot on my core and my legs to actually produce this power. So it's for me personally, I'm very flexible and mobile. Comes from rowing, I guess. So it's not a problem to really get into position and hold power, but it is to like actually use your whole body for this. So you have to. So I think the difference for me and why it's harder is just the isolating of different muscle groups and different ways of producing power versus like hip or whatever people tend to say. It's like you close up your hips in this position. That's why it's harder. For me, that's really not I mean, I definitely close up my hips, but You know, in rowing you pretty much squat all the way in when you're at the catch. So you know, I'm kind of used to being in like a hip closed position, and producing power from that position is not really an issue, or doesn't feel like an issue for me personally. It's just the way you produce power is different. So I believe once I get the TT bars or a TT bike, which I do plan to get at some point. I mean, I did have one, but I did sell it. I do want a nicer one. So I told my friends my middle life crisis is going to be getting a nice TT bike training for TT Nationals. That's all I'm gonna do. But my assumption is once I have the bars and I can actually pull on them, I'm gonna be able to produce even more power in this position. So I think training this way is actually better and good for actual time trialing and time trial bikes once it arrives and once I actually do it. And as I mentioned before, I do this in training. So on my easy rides, I do try and stand in this position sometimes. Like it really depends. Like your back does start hurting in this position, so I try to kind of like spread it out. Like if I have a ride that's just a zone 1 easy, I would do it in this position just to kind of, you know, add something so it's not super boring. So stuff like that. Or if I have a really long ride, I do like a 10 minutes here and then stop and stuff like that. So it's not really anything set in stone, but I try to work on it as much as possible. And then also, I've never done really a threshold or a higher session in this, but I did do some sweet spot sessions in this position, which really built up my confidence to try and go as all out on this time trial in this position. So we're currently in the race. We're currently about hitting 7-minute mark. This is where I had to stop last year, or not stop, but like change the position. And I do remember thinking about right here is like, okay, I'm now past the point where I was last year. So everything from now on is an unknown territory, but I feel really good. Like at this point, I felt like, holy shit, I feel amazing. The speed is great. Like I can do this all day. So pretty much felt great. So I knew that it's going to be a good race for me. And my power here is spiking. So this, as I said earlier, it's a kind of 1% rollers up and down a little bit. So I try to kind of kick it harder on going up, and then going down I kind of try and stay below, like a sweet spot effort, just as long as my speed is pretty high. Like right here I'm holding 30, so I'm not gonna be pushing 400 watts here because I don't really need to, but as soon as the speed starts dropping and I start going up, then I'll try and push some more power to just to maintain the speed. But yeah, that's pretty much all. You guys are more than welcome to finish this video. I do pass a bunch of people by the end. I will sign out now. Stay tuned. We have a race coming up this weekend up in New York. I'm racing at Prospect Park. It's a local area in Castaldi Cup. And then I am racing in June 19th in Pottstown. That's the race where I crashed last year. So hopefully I don't crash this year. That is the only goal for this year's racing, is stay up. So you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.